Hello my beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about these Pop Tart palettes from Too Faced Cosmetics. This collaboration just makes so much sense to me from the perspective of somebody who really got interested in Too Faced many years ago, back in the chocolate bar palette, sweet peach palette days. This collaboration feels very in line with that vision of the brand. Personally, I'm a fan of really cutesy, sweet-smelling products like this. I don't care that I'm literally 37 years old. I like cute things. So I did purchase these from Ulta. These are sold separately. They're $27 US a piece. I got mine from Ulta, but these are also available from the Too Faced website. You can also find these at Target. I'll look around and see if they're available anywhere else online, and then I will link these palettes from a few different retailers in the description box for you if you're interested in checking these out. We have the two most iconic Pop Tarts flavors, at least in my opinion. These are my favorites. Maybe that's basic, but I don't care. I embrace my basicness. These are my favorite Pop Tarts for sure. Gotta get the frosted version. Obviously, I'm not a monster. We have brown sugar cinnamon, which of course has a bunch of toasty, warm, orangey golden neutrals, and then frosted strawberry, which gives us a lot of pinks and reds with a little dash of some neutrals in there as well. These are scented and they do smell like Pop-Tarts. They smell like their namesake. So this one smells like a sweet brown sugar cinnamon, and this one smells like a sweet strawberry cake. These are not highly fragranced. It's not like you open the palette and it just knocks you over with a wall of fragrance. I definitely have to kind of get in there and sniff to really get the scent, but it is there, so just be aware. I know some people are sensitive to makeup with fragrance or just simply don't like it. These are lightly fragranced. They smell really good. They definitely really smell like the Pop-Tarts that they're named after, which I love. I want to give you a close-up look at each one of these palettes. I'm going to show you finger and brush swatches. I also have a tutorial with each one of these. I didn't do any comparisons, honestly. Especially this one, it's a warm neutral palette. Whatever I compare it to, it's probably going to look like that. I don't think the selling point for these palettes is a unique color story. I like the color stories, but they're definitely not groundbreaking. They're not particularly revolutionary color stories, but it would be weird if they were, because what we have here really is in line with the theme. It would be weird if this palette was anything other than a warm neutral palette. You know what I mean? It would be weird if a frosted strawberry palette wasn't pink and red and a little white and brown thrown in there. So these are made to fit the theme, but I don't really think comparisons are necessary. I think you're picking up what I'm putting down. Maybe you already have these colors. I know I do about 100 times over, but I want to show you finger and brush swatches. I want to show you these palettes in action. I am really impressed by the quality of these palettes because Too Faced palettes have been hit or miss for me over the past couple of years, and I'm really happy that these are actually very consistent and high performing, and I've been wearing them throughout the day and they just wear really well. I feel like I'm giving away the whole review. Usually I save my opinions for the end. Let's start by taking a close-up look at each one of these palettes and the swatches, and then I'll jump into the tutorials. Let's start first with the brown sugar cinnamon palette. I have to say this is the one that I've reached for the most out of the two, and it's simply because the eyeshadows blend so beautifully together and wear for so long on my eyes that it's been a very easy go-to palette for me, even if I don't want to do a more complex look. Like the one I'm going to show in the tutorial is a lot more complicated than what I've typically been doing. I have been mostly using this for just a 2 or 3 quick shadow look, and it's great for that too, but I think you'll be impressed by the look I'm able to get out of it in the tutorial for today's video as well. It definitely looks rich and just more high-end looking than I expected a $27 Pop Tart themed palette to be. No shade to Pop Tarts. I do I love me a good snack, but I think you know what I mean. This palette has 4 true mattes, 1 matte with a little bit of sparkle. It's not super apparent on the eye, but it is there. And then 3 just regular metallic shimmers. I wish there was a little bit more variety in the brown medium matte shades. I would have loved to see a more mustardy golden type of shade, and I would have loved to see 1 more deep shade. But in general, I have been very happy with how all of these shades and finishes work together, so I can't complain too much. But I always like to mention when there are tweaks I would make, or places where I think the color story is a little too redundant or lacking some variety. One thing that I noticed right away was how smooth the blend is on these mattes. I have had some stiffer mattes and some more wash of sparkle type of shimmers coming from a few of the Too Faced palettes I've used over the last couple of years, and these are very buttery, very blendable. All the shades really layered nicely with one another. I didn't feel like things were getting stuck or things were blending other shades away. Overall, a very pleasant blending experience. So I was feeling more optimistic about this palette, but I was still expecting that maybe the shimmers would be a little thin and not want to stick to the eye or give me the opacity of metallics that I like on the lid, because I do want a really pop of shimmer on my lids, especially with a look like this where it's a spotlight eye. I was not at all disappointed on initial application, and I was incredibly impressed with the wear on this, because I wore this look all day long, and when I went to take my makeup off at the end of the day, my eye look was pretty much exactly intact like this. So the application was easy, the wear time was great, and I think that this turned out to be a really interesting and complex look for just a handful of neutral shades. I was happy with it. I think the eyeliner did a lot to lend to this sultry, toasty look. Love it, love how it turned out. Would wear this exact look again, and I definitely would travel with this little palette. I think it would be a very useful, cute little travel palette. Now let's move on to the Frosted Strawberry palette. This is the one that I'm wearing throughout the talking portions of the video. Probably obvious since I have a bright red eyelid on. All around, the style of the packaging is the same, but obviously it's a completely different color story. And I noticed that the little bite that's taken out of the Pop Tart on the front cover of these palettes is on opposite sides. So on the brown sugar cinnamon Pop Tart, it's on the right side, and then here you can see on the strawberry Pop Tart, it's on the left side. One detail that I especially love on this Frosted Strawberry palette is the sprinkles print on the inside. When you open up all around the mirror and even the background of the eyeshadow pans, you can see it's a depiction of the top of the Pop-Tart, and you can see all the little sprinkles in the background. Obviously a little tiny detail, but it's definitely something that lends to the overall feeling of this collection, and I like when I see details that let me know they were really thinking about it, they were really paying attention to all these little details to make the idea come to life. The Frosted Strawberry palette has a lot more mattes. This one has 5 matte shades, 1 matte with shimmer, and then 2 shimmery metallics. These metallics, I think, swatched a lot better than the ones in the Brown Sugar Cinnamon palette, but I think they all perform pretty similarly. Obviously, they had to do reds in this collection, but I'm glad that they did a red matte and not just the shimmer. In my experience, I've swatched a lot of eyeshadows, and I think that a true red, especially a true red matte, can be hard to come by in a mainstream makeup palette, especially one that actually performs well and isn't a streaky, sad mess. So I think they did a great job taking the plunge on the reds and making them actually a great formula. One thing that my mind kept going back to was that One of these palettes should have had a silver. I think color story wise, it would have made more sense in the strawberry palette, but all I can think about is that bright, shiny, metallic silver wrapper that Pop Tarts come in. It's such an iconic part of the Pop Tart experience, so I do find myself wishing that there was a super metallic silver in this palette. And you know, Too Faced loves their cheeky little double entendre innuendo type of shade names, so they could have made a reference to it like get unwrapped or unwrap me baby or something. I don't know. I just think it really could have worked, and it definitely could have jazzed up this palette even more. I think people really would have received that well. I was equally as happy with the performance of the strawberry palette shadows, and I think that this palette in particular has a better variety as far as color and depth goes, but I do think that I have gone back to the brown sugar cinnamon one more just out of ease and laziness when I wanted a cute little quick eyeshadow look. You could definitely do that with this color story as well, especially if reds and pinks are really in your comfort zone. But I do think that I have to curate my look a little bit more and just perfect it a little bit more when I'm doing a bolder color choice like this one. So really both are great. It just depends on what your personal style and your personal preferences are. I enjoy both. I think strawberry is a little bit more interesting, a little bit more well curated, but brown sugar cinnamon is easier for me for a quick day-to-day type of look. I think these palettes are super cute. The theme is just right on the nose. I love the packaging, the scented aspect. I've seen a lot of people online, particularly on Instagram, kind of roasting these palettes for being too neutral. I personally think it would be very, very off base if they weren't the color stories that they are for this Pop Tart theme. But I think it would be fun to see maybe just more of the Pop Tart flavors. That way they could be interpreted with some brighter colors. What's the blue and purple one? You know what I'm talking about? There's a frosted blueberry, there's the frosted wild berry, there's a frosted confetti cupcake. I think there are some more interesting color story directions that this particular collaboration could have gone in, and I think that would have changed the narrative about these palettes a little bit if there was a third palette that was the wild berry one and had purple and blue and was a little bit more out there color story wise. And I would love to see that too, but I still think that these are really cute. They definitely work for me, and I was impressed with the quality and the performance of the shadows, which I'm happy to report because, like I said at the beginning of the video, my Too Faced purchases have been kind of hit or miss over the past, I'd say like 2 or 3 years. So happy to report that these really work well for me. But I would love to hear what you think about these palettes. Are you interested? Are you waiting for maybe a spicier color story to come out from Too Faced? I always love to hear what you think about things too. So make sure to leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! No? Okay, no. Let's try that again. Oh, I'm so hungry for a Pop Tart now. I don't have any, but if I did, I would eat one just for this video. I'll add it to the shopping list. I feel like my skin looks really good today, but around my nose is really itchy. I used a different primer than I usually use. I wonder if that's it, or just, I don't know. Once you start using retinol products, sometimes that just happens, so beware. Sweating a little bit. I really like this lipstick. This is the L'Oreal Color Riche Nonchalant. I reviewed these a while ago, and I really like these a lot. Can somebody please come organize my beauty room for me? It's a little bit messy. I need help. Send an adult. Fine. I don't know what that was about. That was cute. Okay. I need to drink some more water today. I'm so thirsty and it's so hot. I've only had 2 waters today, and I definitely should have had 4 by this time. because it's almost 5 o'clock, so I should have had more water than I've had today. But you know what? I'll go have some now, I promise. At least I wore sunscreen today. Gotta start somewhere. Alright, thanks for watching, and I hope you know that you are just as sweet as a little frost Pop-Tart. I'm so happy you're here, and I appreciate you watching, and I love your face, and I will see you in my next video real soon. Until then, I love your face. Bye!